This is a podcast or something like that.
Welcome to the Verbal Journal podcast. It's episode 104. Oh, hey. Sorry, I guess we got the setup over here today. Welcome to the Verbal Journal podcast. It's episode 104. And it's a public episode, so welcome to the public. Thank you for stopping by, and welcome to the private members too. Keep this whole thing going. I hope you can all get along together, and everyone, reconciles. Differences of opinion don't have to mean that much. I like the Better Call Saul videos better. Oh, I like the Breaking Bad video better. You can all get along. I like giving him money for, all this stupid stuff he does. And, no, I don't, I prefer not to do that. I don't think we should really encourage him. We'll have differences of opinion for sure. This is a big audience, but, I think it's important that we all get along and become friends, and become family. And become coworkers, I think. So welcome to the podcast of the Verbal Journal. And I do this every week. And then every third week I make it public to try to, just spread the goods out a little bit, spread the wealth. When do we have the stretching segment scheduled? Because I sort of need a stretch. Did we delete that? We did delete that? Okay. Yeah, that was a new segment, too. It didn't last. Okay, that happens. It was nice, though. We had the stretching segment. Did you hear that crack? It replaced the Word of the Week segment, the WOTW, which I kind of miss, frankly. I've come across words, and I've been like, I wish that I was able to bring this up on the podcast, because this is a interesting word. I wish they didn't delete that segment, and it might have been my decision. I don't remember. Things get kind of blurry, responsibility-wise here at the podcast. But, yeah. Okay, first things first, we have a lot to talk about. Not nearly not like previous weeks where we have way too much to talk about, actually. And I'll explain that in a sec. But we do have a lot to talk about. First thing is I'm so torn about the whole taking the episode number out of the title thing. You can see this previous episode. I did it. The one before that, I did it. That's been a thing, to take the episode number out of the title. Compare that to, it's going to play for a second. Sorry about that. Compare that to, the episode before that, where clearly, like a podcast, it was on the title. I'm totally torn about that. And right now, even as I'm saying this, I don't know what you're looking at and what I'm going to end up doing, because I am so torn. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to take the episode number out of the title. Maybe it'll entice more people when I do the public episodes, because they won't think, oh, I'm 100 episodes behind in that podcast. I don't know, though, because it just looks wrong. It looks like it's a video, but it's not a video. So I don't know. I'm really, really torn about it. I was going to just cancel the podcast completely and just stop doing it, so I didn't have to decide whether to put the episode number back in the title or whether to keep it out. But I decided that I would be in potential legal responsibility due to my contractual obligations here with VJP Inc. It feels dishonest, though. It feels not true to the VJP ethos to take the episode number out of the title, and I really have a problem with it. I think what I'm going to do is just be okay with it this one time to see how it goes, and then force myself to just push through right now, and then or really in 2 hours when I'm uploading this. And then probably next time for the private episode, go back to the episode number being in the title. I feel like it feels wrong. Let me know in the comments. Write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.gov. Let me know what you think about that. Okay. Next big thing, next big reveal is, I talked about this, weaning off the news. The one before that, everything's under control, no news. I did end up going into the news quite a lot. I found some other things to talk about, but there was a lot of news. And then last episode, almost, I would say even more so. It was basically all news. Super pumped on the new Intel's chief executive officer. Whew, that is exciting. I really think it worked, weaning off the news, because today, let me tell you, we have so little news. There is basically none. Will there be a little? Sure, there might be a little, but basically none. And this is because we are working towards, as I said, a net zero news future where we have zero news imprint, and we're going to try to have we're just going to try to have no news. But the cool thing about this is, next after that, once we achieve a net zero news future, the next step, which I didn't announce, and I didn't announce previously, then we're going to hopefully get to a point where we actually have not only no news prepared to talk about that we have to talk about on the podcast, but hopefully we will get to a point where we have nothing. And there is literally nothing. I think there was a point in the past where the podcast had nothing to talk about. And that's the hope, is we're going to get, we're going to get back there. And I look forward to just, sitting down here as I am, and just saying, hey y'all, I have good news. Ironically, I have nothing to talk about, and then we will sit here for 60 minutes or 45 if it's a short episode, and I'll just kind of vibe. And so that might be an interesting kind of podcast experience for people. Luckily, it was sort of an easy week to not collect dozens of articles to talk about on the podcast. It was sort of an easy week to finally make that jump to a no news world, because there wasn't a lot of news. So there wasn't really much going on. There was no big development in any stories. And I don't think there was, there just wasn't really much that happened. So great. I think that's pretty much the intro. And if we want to call it there, we can move on to our first segment here, which is the video segment. This is something I feel like we did back in the day, but we haven't had a video segment in a while. Or we've had videos played, but they weren't part of like a designated video segment, where what's special about it is explicitly that it's a video. So let's pull up our video segment here. Okay, I'm just seeing a word on the top of the screen. That's the thing we're trying to not do, right? That's the thing we're trying to not do, Donna. I give you control over one segment, and I see that there's a video here, but this is clearly news. John Bastidas was deported from the United States to spend 16 days at the U.S. Naval Base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, watched by cameras and eating small meals that left him hungry. No, of course I'm interested. I'm just saying we're trying to not do news. So, this is an interesting sentence. I remember this one. It is part of the White House's efforts to deport a record number of immigrants in the U.S. illegally. And when I first read that sentence, I was like, that's a beautiful sentence, because it sounds like the word illegally applies to the deporting process, which would be accurate. There has been little, which is a nice way to put it, generous evidence that these men who have been deported from our country, forcibly moved, are part of this gang that no one even really has evidence exists in the United States. Man, I can't even imagine. Can you imagine how you would feel if you were this guy or like one of these hundreds of people? He turned himself into U.S. authorities after reaching the border with Mexico, was taken to a detention facility in El Paso, remained there until February. Okay, this is news. I'm reading the news right now. Let's just watch the video. Okay, hold on.
I've called Delta and all the lines are busy, so they're not answering. I just...
Are you kidding me? Is this a different... Are you kidding me? They update the video to the most recent ABC News video? No, you're kidding. They have the video that...
I've called Delta and...
They don't even have the video that it... This is a nightmare video segment. Hold on. Are you kidding me? ABC, apparently, when you go to an article, it looks like it's going to play the video that was originally there, but it actually plays international headlines from ABC
I've
News.
called Delta.
As if it doesn't think you want to watch the thing that was part of the article? This is an absolute terrible first video segment. I wanted to at least give it a shot, but anyways, we were supposed to hear this guy talking about his experience. And you can imagine that being gratifying and informing to understand about these people's experience. But wow, we're going to have to get rid of that segment. I mean, I think the video segment, I'll give it one more shot, but I mean, that's not a great start to the podcast. We have the public coming, people are sitting there looking at the screen potentially. Some people don't realize this is a podcast, so you're meant to mostly listen to it. I get that there are mixed messages by having a video segment and then feeling that way, but let's just move on to the next segment. The next segment is actually not news. It's the Google Scholar segment. So the Google Scholar segment, again, this is kind of hearkening back to, we're having to pull out all the stops here as we really actually move beyond news in a non-joking way. So one of the stops we're pulling out is, this is something I did very early. Oh, this is what I was looking up before. This is for something I'll talk about in a bit, a video. And these are for sort of writing project that might also be a video. The Google Scholar stuff is fun. I used to, do this on the pod a little bit, but so I thought we would do some Google Scholar surfing as our main segment here. And I called it this Google Scholar surfing segment. I should have called it the main segment, and it is a Google Scholar surfing segment, but it's fulfilling the main segment kind of situation here. So let's type in, what is something we want to know about on Google Scholar? Maybe something about YouTube, because that's why we're all here, right? So YouTube algorithm. I've never even... Okay, let's just do YouTube algorithms, okay? I want to learn about the algorithm. I know about the alt-right filter bubble. Anxiety, panic, and self-optimization. Okay, but that's only one author. Teachers searching for videos. That's kind of interesting. Okay, this is interesting. That's the same author. Selling algorithmic lore. But you feel like if they did it on their own, why couldn't they get someone else involved in the article? It seems like there's something weird about the article if they wrote it on their own. All right, fine. All right, I'll look at that one because that sounded interesting. Wait, researching YouTube. Here we go. Okay, this is good. Multiple authors in the last 5 years. Is the full article available? No? Okay, hold on. Let me communicate with my friend who works at an institution of learning. Hey, can you get me this article? With completely legal and good means, get me this article? Oh, sure. No worries, bro. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so YouTube founded in 2005 by 3 PayPal employees. Well, PayPal employees could never go on to do anything negative, right? Wasn't Musk a PayPal employee? Less than 2 years later, Google bought it. Okay, spare me the history lesson, right? This is I'm trying to do research here. 50% of videos uploaded in 2016 attracted 89 views or fewer. Okay. It's not a lot of views. That's like less than the podcast gets, the public episodes. Research methods in the sections, user generated. Okay, I don't need like a basic rundown on YouTube. I want to understand something unique, Multi-channel networks, yeah, we know what those are, Revenue potential through social media activity, however, remains highly volatile and dependent on one's capacity to develop a status and exert real or presumed influence within the relevant community, like I do here in the podcasting community. Although currently 80% of the 50 most subscribed to vloggers are men, vlogging is a practice with antecedents in camgirl culture. When webcams first made authentic live streaming and video over the internet a technical possibility, albeit at very low quality and speed. The gendering of these identity practices is explored by 3 of the papers collected here, which together makes a substantial contribution to our understanding of this aspect of YouTube's cultural influence. All 3 use beauty vlogs as their examples, a key subset for women vloggers, when almost all the most successful are of this type, both in terms of subscription and of monetization. Oh, Sophie Bishop, that was the author that I was like, oh, that was just one author. Longer viewing times, upload frequency, tagging, and keyword practices in searchable talk as salient. Self-optimization practices result in self-reflexive modes of post-feminist performance linking empowerment to consumption, but which ultimately conform to normative power relations in relation to gender, class, and race. Wow, that makes sense. That does. Sort of, you could say that probably about a lot of industries, I would imagine. The vlogger's affective labor creates an intimate public defined as an affective scene of identification among strangers in Berlin's widely cited study of women's media culture. I think my channel, I have to say, I think my channel does an okay job of appealing to non-men for a dude's channel and for a Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad channel, a channel that's gotten a lot of viewers through that. Let me check here. Oh, yeah, not that great. Not that great. If I go to pull this up, it's like, okay, so okay, here it is. I have 12% female, 86.9% male, 1.1% user specified. So 12% female is not a lot, but I think it's probably more than the average Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul channel, I would think, but I could be wrong. Okay, mystery of the algorithm. We don't know what the algorithm is. The main component, we don't know, right? Do we know? People always say, oh, we don't know what actually the algorithm is. And I'm like, is that true? Actually, does no one know? Yeah, it's a black box, unaccounted power dynamics. I guess that's like a proprietary thing that private industry has the right to develop tools like algorithms and have it be proprietary. But you do wonder, like, at what point is it something that should just be transparent? That was so ironic, like when the guy who's now like functioning as an oligarch special government employee bought Twitter and then was like, I'm gonna make it transparent. Bull. I don't think he actually did. Let's look that up. Did Elon Musk actually make actually invent anything. No, I'm not searching that, but I can understand people do. Actually make Twitter transparent. He didn't make it profitable. I've been I've been Googling a lot of stuff for like writing a video script. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the AI is sometimes like straight up wrong, by the way. Like I'm researching this show and the AI will jumble together different things from the show and totally get things wrong. So, posting the Twitter algorithm isn't actually transparency. Oh yeah, he had this whole like rigmarole of the Twitter files where he gave like he was transparent with particular people in an extremely limited and particular way, and gave them extremely particular like back end access insight. Yeah, here, this one's more recent. Is actually suspending way more people than before. Yeah, I'm always surprised that people don't understand that also, too. So they did release a transparency report. In the first 6 months of this year, 2024, they suspended 5.3 million users, more than 3 times as many as the 1.6 suspended in the first half of 2022. So that's because he loves free speech. Yeah, I will. I mean, I've said stuff like this before, and we're going to move on, but like, I am kind of shocked sometimes to see posts with thousands of likes that are like, well, maybe the Jews shouldn't control the world and we wouldn't have to take care of them. And it's like, whoa, dude. Like a verified account. And I'll just say about that, like, I don't care your political orientation. I don't care how much you like Elon Musk. I don't care how much you like Twitter. There's a use to actual verification on social media platforms, and the idea of changing any attempt at actual verification to a complete lack of attempt and to making it just a club that you pay $8 or whatever for is bizarre. Is just like so obviously not useful. It's like if we were sitting down to a meal and you're like, what if I made all the forks spoons? And it's like, no, we need them to be forks for this meal, actually. You know, or vice versa. I don't know which would be more difficult, but Twitter complied with 71% of the thousands of legal requests it has received to take down posts on its platform in the first half of 2024. The highest it had been before that was just over 50% in 2021. So they're complying more with the government. It's cool, I guess. That's before he was in the government. So anyways, black boxes are weird. I think, actual transparency on how algorithms work is good. Frankly, I wonder sometimes, like, should the government be allowed to not be transparent too? Like, it's not just about private industry and proprietary things. Like, I guess I'm a believer in the public good to a pretty significant extent, where I think that things that can contribute to the public good, like, we should heavily consider whether they do before we make regulations on things. So, like, I don't think that the government should be able to do much at all that we don't know about. I think the idea of classification is sort of just an enabling system. And really, I would almost be a fan of, like, almost nothing being classified. Let's just get it all out in the open. I get it. We're like spying on all these countries and it would be a bad look for it to be unclassified. But I also just I think all that stuff is just to not have to actually take care of our own people and to find all these other workarounds to manipulate the world instead of just going inward and solving our own issues that can be solved. So I like transparency, actual transparency in the government and private industry. So I show you my analytics, Over a period of 7,000 videos, in the top 20 of the listings using 6 contemporary and controversial queer terms: Islam, Gamergate, Syria, Islam, Australia, Sanders, and Trump. Using computational and visualization techniques, they identified videos that were stable in their position in the rankings, those that were strongly affected by news events, and those that were generally stable but had newsy interruptions, sort of like this podcast, frankly. They found that YouTube's search algorithm picks up and amplifies these attention cycles, producing ranking cultures that determine the hierarchical listings we can find on YouTube. Okay. We can find a version of the reverse engineering processes developed by Kitchen that studies algorithmic signals to observe the combined effects of this encounter between sociocultural practices and technological affordances. Yet Bishop contends that it can be enlightening to study not just what the algorithm does, but what users think the algorithm does, and that this may produce a rich baseline for larger studies. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I guess, I sort of skimmed a little bit too much. I definitely skimmed too much, but look, YouTube is a hybrid commercial space, as I always say. And that is that's the main segment of the Google. I'm just going to call it the Google Scholar segment. I'm going to take out the main segment. I think, it's always been weird that we have a main segment. You don't have to call it that. You know what I mean? You could just have the thing you talk about. But I do like a Google Scholar segment. That's kind of fun. So let's have that, Okay, this is going well. I knew it would be fine, to not talk about the news too much. And it's letting me have more breathing room to just go into things, kind of dance around, let the verbal journal kind of flow. And next up, we have the beloved horizontal integration segment, where I integrate the podcast horizontally with the main channel. Which is, where you might have come from to watch this right now. So you're like, oh shit, we're going to shout out the main channel. So on the main channel, things are going well. I'm feeling good. Things are nice. You may have noticed that, I posted a little, a week ago, I guess. I posted on the community page that I did this video, and it was just a fun little bonus video where I'm watching Michael Knowles. Oh, I went into research there too. And this guy's just a terrible debater, so it was really funny to watch and sort of pick apart how he got destroyed in the debate. So I just recorded this. I put on my nice red sweater. I recorded this just for channel supporters, Patreon people. It was just for members and Patreon supporters. And then after 2 weeks, I made it public. And this is on the side channel, What's Therapy side channel and streams. And then I post about it on the main channel. Sort of the process here. And that's good, and I'm sure, a few of you enjoyed it. It got a fair number of views, and it would have more, but I actually made it, I unlisted it again. I made it from public to unlisted, and here's why. So you can still watch it, just go to the community page and whatever if you're interested in this type of stuff. But I made it unlisted again because I totally forgot. This has happened before when I did a video on this side channel. I've looked at when I did a video about this fella, when I did a video about this fella, you get people who are just fans of that person, and you don't get people, the intended audience. So when I recorded this, I'm imagining myself talking to my intended audience, to you all, to people who have maybe similar politics, who find me entertaining and funny. But holy crap, I started getting comment after comment by fans of Michael Knowles. And I can take criticism, I can take negative comments, but it was every single one. And they're not there anymore. I deleted them because it was 35 comments. And I was like, I don't want my video to have 3 positive comments and all negative comments. I don't make stuff to upset people. I don't, I do want to win over some opposing sides people sometimes, but I know that like 95+% of them I won't, and I don't need to hear the 95% of like fans of Michael Knowles being like, actually, I think he did a great job, and the gay people should not be able to get married. It's like, okay, well, I didn't ask your opinion, and you're not responding to what I said. Really, you're just, well, you're responding, but you're not actually responding. You know, like you are saying something after, you know. But anyway, so I've said this before. I don't feel that people have the right to leave a comment and expect that it will definitely be there forever. I think that is the call of the person maintaining the platform. People can say whatever they want about my videos anywhere else, you know. But like, I think in the comments, when I know people are scrolling down and looking at them while they're watching the video, no, I don't want 40 negative comments or whatever it was where people are like, actually, like, even the ones that are not personal to me that I would normally not delete, because it was all of them, I'm like, this is not, I don't make content for this. This is not why I do things. So, you know, I was like, whoopsie, you know, that I learned my lesson. You know, so I'm happy. This is just for people who agree with me. It was sort of a problem. Like, if I recorded it knowing that I was going to make it public like that, I would have been a little bit potentially more like trying to win people over. But even then, I couldn't have, you know, there's nothing you can do. People are going to disagree. But anyways, that was a fun kind of escapade. I woke up one morning and I was like, okay, this is kind of or how did I even see it? Because I don't usually see the comments on this channel. I must have like checked one morning or something, and I was like, oh, jeez. It's like, you feel a little bit like, it's a little bit weird, you know, to like see a bunch of negative comments. It's a little bit like, oh, okay, guys, chill out. Like, I don't know you. I don't want to fight with you. Like, so anyways, I thought I did a great job. They didn't change my mind on how good I did. No one made an argument that was like, your point was incorrect because of X, Y, and Z, and your premise is flawed and your argument is invalid. Like, no one does that. They're just like, oh, really? You think he won? Like, or like, whatever. You think he lost? He won? I don't, you know. It was just like, I don't want the whole comment section to be negative. It's the same thing, like, if people comment on one of my videos and they're responding to someone else and they're like defending me, but they're super mean to that other person, I might delete them, the comment. Because I don't want the vibe to be super negative in my comments. I can't control it completely, but I try. Anyways, the other thing from this horizontal integration is I blah blah bloob. I posted then just the other day. I posted about how the Democrat senators who voted for the Republican budget, this is not news, okay, this is the horizontal integration, are, you know, not worthy of their position and are not up to the moment. And I posted about it because I was feeling very passionate about it. I wanted to use my voice to make sure people are thinking about this stuff. It's not, you don't want to just focus on the Republicans. You want to focus on how to get leverage within the political system, and part of that means getting rid of the functionaries who are literally condoning a budget they had no input on. So anyways, and codifying the like fragmentation and destabilization of our government that's taking place right now. So codifying it, really signing on to it by signing on to a budget. Oh, it would be worse if the government shut down, if we didn't pass the budget. Nah, a lot of people don't think it would, actually, because that would be the Republicans' fault, and they would have to own that, and they would have to find a way to actually pass a budget that collaborated with the Democrats instead of just forcing theirs through. So 335 is about normal. I get that on all my posts. Right? Like, let's look at that Michael Knowles post, right? I'm sure it's, look, I'd take mine away, and okay, it's 10. Okay, and this one, another post, 55. Okay, so yeah, you know, generally all about 335 is totally normal for me for all of my posts. It's funny because I actually did hear something I sort of joked, oh, I should do this in the future. I was like, in a previous sort of assessment. So I've taken over the marketing here. We used to have a marketing person. I got rid of, that whole issue. And so I'm doing all the marketing. I always had to do it, but now I get to have even more control and decide what I do and so on. So I think I'm doing a great job. I think we don't need Tom, and we shouldn't think about hiring him back ever. But so anyways, yeah, I did something that I had joked previously I should do, which is I was like, oh, people always like my, they care about causes and stuff. They don't care about me self-promoting, or it's probably the YouTube algorithm not wanting people to just constantly self-promote, and so it probably deboosts posts about some other videos and stuff on the platform for some reason. Even though, like, why wouldn't they want to let people boost their own videos on the platform? So I don't know, but people care about like causes more than my self-promotion. So what I do is I talk about a cause. I start with the videos, which is great. That sucks people in. Then I talk about a cause, and then I finish with self-promotion. And that's the sort of magical touch that I think we're developing here. And that's what I sort of joked I would do, and I did actually do it, and it's going to be good. By the way, so what video am I working on? Someone commented it better be price. It's not a video about price, but I did finally compile my price notes to make sure I have those in a one place to eventually one day do a video about price. But that is not what I'm working on now. I have worked many hours over the last week, and I am almost done with a script, a long script, and not, my longest video, but long, about a TV show, about that sort of has to do with mental health. And I'm not gonna even say which one it is because I want to leave it a little mysterious. But I will, I'm actually doing it. It's not like one of these ones where I'm like, I'm working on it in the background. It's like, if this seems like it's barreling forward. I worked so many hours in the last week on it, a ton yesterday, and I'm going to, I'm definitely overthinking it, but I think it's fun and entertaining. So I'm looking forward to finishing the script, gathering all the clips I need, which is going to take a while, and then, getting to the process of recording the audio, editing the clips, and so on. So month or so, probably it'll be out. But yeah, so that's exciting, and that's the horizontal integration segment. So that's kind of nice. Next up, we have the good things segment. Good things. Are people gonna be confused by this, though? Because I said I wasn't going to talk about news, and I'm looking at these good things here, and come on. I mean, these are... All right, I'll try. I'll say it. I'll say it. People didn't buy it last time, but I'll say it. So what's going on is good... So this is the good things segment, and I know it might look like news, but we've decided here on the podcast that good news is not technically news. So this is not me talking about news, because if it is good news, it is not technically news. So let's just breeze through this all really quick. And if we don't read the articles, it's not technically news. Republican Trump administration reinstating almost 25,000 fired workers after court order. And then U.S. court won't pause ruling requiring Trump administration to reinstate 25,000 workers a few days later. Ohio appeals court strikes down some healthcare restrictions for transgender minors who also need healthcare, believe it or not. U.S. judge bars Musk and the so-called Department of Government Efficiency from further efforts to shut down U.S. aid. U.S. judge blocks Trump's transgender military ban. Mexico City overhauls bullfights in win for animal activists. That's good. That's a good thing. U.S. judge blocks Republican President Trump's EPA from clawing back climate grants, from trying to take money back from agencies that might be thinking about the future a little bit too much. Peruvian farmer takes, and they weren't able to, for now. Peruvian farmer takes German energy giant RWE to court in landmark climate case. So that's a big deal that they were able to take that to court. We're not going to look into it because this is not a news thing. Judge stops Elon Musk's team from unbridled access to Social Security private data. And then Trump's Social Security chief backs down from shutting down agency that he threatened to do following that. Anti-Netanyahu protesters clash with Israeli police. Look, this was a few days ago, and then today, Israel anti-government protests flare after dismissal of top security agency chief. Look, I know people are brainwashed in a lot of countries. We are in the U.S. too, and I'm sure in Israel it's more brainwashing than in any other country about what their government does. But you gotta cheer for this stuff when you see it. And Israelis have a responsibility to stop what their government is doing. Just as the U.S. citizens have a responsibility to stop how our government is contributing to the unbelievable, unacceptable murder of tens of thousands and potentially, I mean, so many people have been murdered and displaced, so many hospitals bombed, so many schools bombed. They've, broken the ceasefire in this past week even more blatantly than they already had. They've killed hundreds more Palestinians, women and children, innocent people. Like, the problem is not the terrorism of October 7th. That is not the cause of all these actions. So we need to see Israel and Israeli citizens actually finding a conscience. And as we do, German, UK, US citizens, we all need to stand up and stop the fact that we're just all standing by and watching the genocide and of an entire population. It's completely unacceptable. So good that people are protesting. Also in the U.S., people are protesting the special government employee big boy who's having his way with our government. This is not good news. Why is this? This is not part of the good news. This is not part of the good things thing. Yeah, well, you shouldn't load it in right. Because I pulled it up. I know this is the next segment. So this is the chief executive segment. This is not the good things segment. I think it should have been loaded up in a separate window or something, because I just pulled it up and it makes it seem like I'm celebrating it like I was all the other good things. That was a huge problem, because now people are watching and they're like, their brain process. This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. This is just a human interest piece. I have the chief executive segment here on the podcast where I highlight, happenings in the world of chief executive officers. Because ever since one of them had his life ended in the street, a lot of people have been like just super negative Nancy's about chief executive officers. So I wanted to kind of bring a different perspective to chief executive officers and the chief executive officer community. Sometimes it's good things, sometimes it's bad things, but the point is to kind of just broaden people's perspectives of what a chief executive officer can be. This is an article, of course, Chevron's chief executive officer, Michael Worth, is worth a bit more. And last year was paid $32.7 million. Which is a 23.4% increase from the prior year. Even though the median annual compensation for Chevron employees in the U.S. and abroad fell 6.8% year over year, his increased 23.4%. Now, I think most of us get paid 23.4% more than we did last year. Every year we make about 23.4% more. So that's what I like about chief executive officers is they really are relatable and they really. But yeah, the company's laying off 15 to 20% of its global workforce by the end of next year. So that is probably where some of that money's coming from. So good for him. Advocating for himself and practicing self-care by making sure that he, I'm sure he's in a union, and that's part of how he negotiates such a great contract. So it's a good human interest piece. Okay, so on to the next thing we have here, some really fun segments. And the first one is the Everyone Makes Mistakes segment. So the Everyone Makes Mistakes segment is important for highlighting mistakes and the fact that everyone makes them. This is news, and we've also kind of talked about it. It's kind of old news. But this is, I guess, a newer article about that. The Pentagon is conceding it made mistakes as it rushed to remove articles and images celebrating diversity from its social media and websites. Wow. Such as removing tributes to Jackie Robinson and the flag raising at Iwo Jima. I'm not going to get into the whole news side of that, but I will say that, hey, everyone makes mistakes. Pentagon, DOD, totally understand. The Navajo code talkers, anyone could have made that mistake if they were completely rushing to remove anything related to non-white people from the system. So anyone would have made that mistake if they had the same extremely twisted and fucked up goals. So it's totally understandable that you would make that mistake. And so, just wanted to say that. And next up we have but this is an important segment to follow the Everyone Makes Mistakes segment. This is the People Can Change segment. It's supposed to be about people changing, like in terms of their character. So sorry, we don't usually have this many problems. Usually everything on the podcast goes really well. Pope Francis, good, good for him. Usually the people can change comes after the Everyone Makes Mistakes, and we talk about people changing, becoming a better person, but he just is healthier. That's great, though. Okay, well, so he changed in that regard. We really need to talk about these segments. Next, we have the Sometimes It's Hard to Forgive segment. Stories of plane passengers refusing to let people use bathroom go viral. So that has nothing to do with it being hard to forgive. I think there's just been a total kind of... The segments have gotten too specific. Okay, I think that's the problem. I just want to say about this. When you are on a plane, you're not at home and you don't have the right to refuse to let people use the bathroom. I've thought about this a lot because I just love overthinking about my issues with things like flying. And I'm like, what's the deal? And in my mind, I just have, it's like, what's the deal with, flying? People sleeping on planes, you are liable to be woken up. If you are in the aisle seat, you're liable to be woken up. So have a nice sleep, but also if someone needs to use a bathroom, you're not at home. You know what I mean? So you don't have the right to sleep. People's need to use the bathroom is more important than your need to sleep generally. But yeah, there's a little bit of gray area. You know, if someone had like a crazy thing where they were constantly getting up every 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, you know, that's a different story. So, man, my freaking beard and like everything's growing out so much. I'm like getting coffee in my freaking mustache when I'm, you know what I mean? They don't tell you about that. And then we have this sometimes it's not hard to forgive segment. So it's not hard to forgive here because there's no evidence of coordinated vandalism of Teslas despite oligarch Musk and Republican President Donald Trump's claims. You know, unfortunately, we've been seeing a rise in Tesla dealership, charging station, and facility vandalism. We've seen just absolutely heart-wrenching videos posted to social media of Tesla vehicles being damaged and defaced. And frankly, it's been hard for me to sleep this past week from it. So everyone just cut it out. One website appeared to encourage people to target Tesla vehicles. Oh yeah, that Doge Quest website, publishing a map with the informative information of dozens of Tesla owners. It's unknown who started the site. Well, I don't know either, so I can't even help with that. It wasn't me. Stop. Everyone keeps saying, was it you who started Doge Quest? It's like, no. I don't know how to do that. And I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Also, more importantly. I can't walk. Elon Musk said he kept walking by TVs and seeing Teslas on fire. Oh, for example, this. It's hard to even look at. Resist. So no one even knows what this is meaning. I mean, it's probably you could have the supposition that there's an aspect of this that's related to the chief executive officer joining the U.S. government at the highest level and having enormous authority in firing and laying off and incentivizing to quit up to 100,000 workers as of a few weeks ago, at least. And also talking out of his behind, as we could say, about functions of the federal government that keep people's lives above awful occasionally. You know, anyways, we're not trying to get into the news here. The important thing is there's no evidence that these acts of vandalism are connected. And vandalism is not okay. But at least it's not coordinated. So it's not that hard to forgive. I was actually like, this is real. Everything I say is real, of course. But I was just a little addendum on the horizontal integration segment. I was just researching forgiveness yesterday. I spent like a few hours partway through writing a script. I'm like, how do people study forgiveness? And so I looked into it, and there's, obviously studies. I found one review of 66 articles, many of those quantitative studies, some of them other types of articles and studies. And then I found a survey of like 450 people about who have, in their perspectives as victims of wrongdoing, about the forgiveness-seeking behavior of the wrongdoer and what qualities helped or hurt that process of forgiveness. So it was kind of interesting. And I only ended up incorporating the first article, but, I gotta, anyways. So Okay, so what else do we have here? The data segment we're not doing anymore. That's merging into the Google Scholar segment. I think we're good. We don't have to talk about data specifically every time. It can just come up naturally, like it did in the beginning. Okay. Follow-ups, I never like to talk about the previous episode. I do it very begrudgingly. And I'm proud of myself for having not talked about, well, I did, at the beginning, but not too much talked about this time too for the public. I don't want to bog it down. I've had a real bogged down issue in the past. But anyways, I do want to say, the title, is this the previous episode or the one before? It's the one before. No, this is the previous episode. Yeah, sorry. Like, what episode is it? Okay, so this is the previous episode. I'm supposed to follow up and say the title was wrong. What am I supposed to say the title was wrong about? Weaning off the news for once and for all. I did, Wait, did I mean to say that about the other one? No, I don't, what's this follow-up mean? Weaning off the news for, I see. Yeah, it's for once and for all. Yeah, that's the problem. I was seconds away from just pausing and like stopping the podcast recording because I was so confused. Right, the title says weaning off the news for once and for all. That's weird. Yeah, I did need to follow up on that. Yeah. Weaning off the news for once and for all. I feel like you would just say weaning off the news once and for all. Maybe throw a comma in there. Weaning off the news for once and for all. But the fact that I couldn't even just see it for like 20 seconds, like that's probably, it doesn't probably matter. It doesn't probably matter. I probably didn't need to bring it up. Anyways, here's a way more important follow-up. Huge error made here. Check this out.
I'm still sort of cognitively dissonant. I'm still fully in denial. We got a few more rapid fire examples of people changing, and then we're going to...
No. We were in the sometimes it's hard to forgive segment. We were in the sometimes it's hard to forgive segment, and I was on a tangent talking about how it was hard to forget. I had been talking about how it was hard for the international community to forgive Duterte for his alleged human rights violations in his quote-unquote war on drugs that current president in his former administration, Republican Donald Trump, had been a huge fan of. And so I was on a tangent, so I had forgotten that I was actually in the sometimes it's hard to forgive segment, which I think is just further evidence that there's a huge issue. I'm going to delete these 4 segments. Or I'm just going to compile them into personal growth segments. I'm just going to call it the personal growth segment, and it's all 4 of those into one. This is what we do here on the pod. We make a lot of changes. We, grow up a lot, develop, try to, make the pod everything it can be. Just always, you're seeing that. You're seeing that in real time. You're seeing a lot of changes. One change that was last episode is that we added a new thing called the Improv segment, where I do improv. I think it went well. I think it went good, and I'm going to do it again. Improv for one person. Okay. One person. I need like suggestions. Hold on. Improv, because it was hard last time and it took a lot of time to, improv, but I don't want to look them up before the pod. You know what I mean? Like normally I would have a web page like pulled up but I don't want to do that because this is improv. So it's important that you can tell I'm doing it on the fly. So I'm going to do improv scene suggestions because I don't want games for one person. And usually there's we clicked on some of these last time, but We clicked on, yeah, I searched the same thing probably. But here, where are the, there were like, oh, was it, how did I get like good, okay, we're running, this is too much time. All by myself, no, that was examples and exercises, no. Prompts. Okay, here, this is perfect. Okay, right, and then we did the random number generator. Okay. Whoa. I don't want serious ones. Okay, I'll do opening lines. That's fun. Okay. So 1 through 53. Okay, let's do a random number generator. Hold on. Random number generator. Okay. 1 to 53. Generate. 7. Okay. No, that's fine. I don't even know what teambuilding.com. Right, that's the one we were on last time too. We're on the same. Okay, so what did you do? Okay, nice. That's really vague. Okay, what did you do? Okay, so that's what we have here in the improv scene. What did you do? Okay, ready? Okay, hey, welcome to Verbal Journal Podcast Improv Show. Thank you so much for coming to the improv set. Thank you so much for coming back after last time, despite, the sort of, I understand the scene ended in kind of a gruesome way, and there was a lot of commentary about that, but, thank you for coming back. Okay, so I will take from the audience, can I have a opening line that for the scene? Can you all just yell out opening lines? What did you do? And I'm not going to talk for the other characters in the scene. I'm just going to be one character, and you'll have to imagine the other people. But I want to say the audience's suggestion. So, oh, is that what did you do? Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Okay, let's go. Ready? Whoa, what did you do? No, I think you injured it. No. Okay, well, let's just kind of get the bird up and flying around the apartment. Okay, we don't want the bird to get all like weird and start walking around. When you and I agreed to have a bird move into our apartment, we agreed that we would let it fly just wherever it wanted. So okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, you looked like you were trying to like pin down the bird for a second. Okay, so next thing I think we need to get like maybe snakes. I'm just thinking a real Noah's Ark type of situation, and then we just sort of advertise it as, hey, we have it's like an escape room, except you don't escape, and you just sit in the room with a bunch of animals. We call it a Noah's Ark themed escape room where you don't escape. That's actually kind of a, and I'm glad Raymond, that you could meet me here for this meeting at our apartment, actually, because I wanted to talk to you about starting a business out of our apartment with these animals, where it's a sort of meditation zone and people can kind of, so it's hard to do 1%. Am I just supposed to talk the whole time? Last time I had a good back and forth with an imaginary person. Let's do a different scene and see if I can kind of get a better back and forth going with with an imaginary person. Okay, so let's I never said I was good at improv, you know what I mean? I got to work on my chops here. Okay, 1 to 53 again. Let's generate again. 35. Okay. He proposed to you where? Okay, that's perfect, because it helps me immediately have a scene partner. Okay, an imaginary scene partner. Okay, he proposed to you where? Okay, let's go. Ready? Okay, next suggestion. He proposed to you where? Okay, thank you very much. I don't know. You have a weird voice. Did you have some sort of accident, and that's why you have a weird voice? No, it's just genetic. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Ready? Whoa. He proposed. I guess I can't say whoa. I have to start exactly as they say. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. He proposed to you where? Were you like worried that you were gonna fall off or something? I mean, I feel like walking the plank is usually kind of a rickety experience. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I guess you wouldn't really have anywhere else to go in that moment. So was it romantic or okay? No, I could see it. I mean, it just I guess the part that surprises me is that the captain then I guess changed his mind about the whole walking the plank. Why is that? Because he was captivated by the power of love. Wow. I mean, that gives me chills. I guess you could, yeah. Because when I just met you and Jim, I thought you were just sort of a weird couple. You know, you both have very long sort of hair that clearly has salt water encrusted throughout it, and you both, you know, I mean, you wear sort of pirate themed clothing. I thought you had just gone to the Halloween store down the street that was closed, that just recently closed and was getting rid of its merchandise, and I thought you had just like purchased pirate costumes, and that's why you guys always dressed in pirate costumes. I guess it doesn't really explain why you'd be always dressing in pirate costumes, but I guess I just figured you didn't have a lot of money, and so you'd gone to the, you know, Halloween store that was closing. But okay, so you actually were pirates, or are you still pirates? Okay, you're in retirement. Repiratement. Okay, that's funny. And scene. Okay, so that's just kind of, I think that second one was definitely better. But no, maybe it was just different, you know, so let me know in the comments which was better, which was different. No, I know which was different. I don't need to know that, but you know, just let me know your thoughts or whatever. And speaking of letting me know your thoughts, let me pull up the mailbag. Let's check out the mailbag here. See, sometimes people write into the mailbag at verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, so checking the mailbag now. No one has written in, so that is fine. Thank you for considering writing in to verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. If you write in now, you can also include an improv suggestion. Make sure it works for solo improv. We've been getting thousands of suggestions, but they don't work for solo improv, so I didn't use any of them. And let's thank the members and the patrons before I get out of here, because I'm so grateful to people for giving me money. I appreciate it. You know, you don't have to do it if you don't have disposable income, obviously, but if you do, feel free to give me money. You also will get access to all these episodes, and a back catalog of videos and music going back like 4 years plus, 5 years or something. 4.5 years. 4.5 years. Okay, let me thank the YouTube members first. Thank you to Doxology, Simply Snaps, 39% Weird, Pit Inhabitant, Hollow Moon, Jifa, Eva, Jasmine, Matthew, Maddie, Ramon, Loplian. Y'all are great, and I appreciate it. I hope you like being a member. Thank you to the Patreon patrons, a different type of person, the Patreon patrons. Thank you, Noah Burrow. Wait, I'm like, what list am I on? Noah, Burrow, Arthur is here, Luna, Perpetually Jackson, A, JC, Icelack, Caleb, Miranda, Ruben, Ibnomad, Oliver, MK, Matt X, Noah, Anastasios, Linguist Sam, King Margot, Tom, Verbal Gerbil, Hugh, Redgrove, Elemancy, Platinum Sarge, Rabid Dog, Jen, Roman, Ian, Russ, Irene, MJ, Ryan, Madeline, Mr. Moxie, Brent, Molly, Kyle, Ashley, Jack, Scott, Luca, Gunther, Thulu, Source, Rex, Miles, and User. I'm grateful for y'all. Thanks for the money. I use it for food and rent. And I enjoy my time here on the pod. I do it for the love, but I do appreciate the support. So if you want to support, feel free to do that. And the other episodes are, they're not as good as this, obviously. Every one that I do is the best one that I've ever done because, this is just like, I'm like Jordan in his prime here with podcasting. But what I do, that reminds me actually, I have my fantasy baseball draft tonight. When you think of Michael Jordan, you think of baseball. So I have my fantasy baseball draft tonight. I will be drafting. I did a good amount of preparation, so I have the people I would sort of want near the top so I can drag them and pick them. But I'm very excited. I'm in a league that I've talked about before on the podcast. I'm in it with a friend and then a bunch of people he knows. And it's like, so everyone like kind of knows each other or once removed. And like, it's real people. We put $50 in. And so there's like an actual level of like, these guys like, like they want to win. Like they're like, the first year I was in it, I did badly. I kept like changing out my players to try to get more points. But then I would end up with a constantly changing amount of players, and it would run into problems, and I would not have the players I need later, especially with pitchers is what I'm talking about, more than position players. But I'm going to, last year I did much better. I almost made the playoffs, only like, the top 4 teams or something make the playoffs, but I think I can do it, but yeah, the draft is really fun. Just like, it's so fun. Like just picking players and then you get points when they score. It's like a fun, super fun, like low investment, like thing, especially when it's like a little bit of gambling and there's like a social thing. One of my friends, people he knows is like hostile, like has been like trolling way too hard in the past, but they're all super nice otherwise, but. Okay, so I'll be, updating you on how that's going, so I guess, look forward to that and so on. But okay, well, have a great time, and, I hope you enjoy your time and space and so on, and okay, bye.
This is a podcast or something like that.